separate existences and they all become one, then you are entering the kingdom. And that's what saying 22 is all about. Saying 23. Jesus said, I'll choose you, 1 out of 1,000 and 2 out of 10,000, and they'll stand as a single one. And again, he's trying to explain to them, you guys are important because you get it. And I want you, the 1 out of 1,000 or the 2 out of 10,000, because you guys are believing that there is something more to discover and you are seeking it. I would take you guys out of all the other people. This goes back to the many fish and getting the one fish and throwing the seeds and getting the one to root. And they'll stand as a single one, he says in the very end of that saying. Because if you get it, you will become the one. Which is what the kingdom within is all about. Transcending your human mind into the space of conscious awareness that expands out infinitely into the non-delineation of consciousness and the oneness. That's what he's talking about. Saying 24, his disciples said, show us the place where you are, because we need to look for it. He said to them, anyone who has ears should hear. So listen up, as he's saying. Light exists within a person of light, and if they light up light exists within a person of light, and they light up the whole world. If they don't shine, there's darkness. And that's simply an explanation of there is no place. Light exists within a person of light. If you're plugged into it, you're plugged into it. And if you're not, darkness exists. So the thing that you're looking for, the place that you're looking for isn't a place. You don't walk there. You have to find the light within you. That's the kingdom. Saying 25, Jesus said, love your brother as your own soul, protect them like the pupil of your eye. And why did he say that? Because there is no separation between self and other.
No.
Protect your brother like your pupil
We're
of your eye.
all the same.
Because your brother is you. And that totally goes into the Sermon on the Mount speech in the New Testament. You read that through, you're going to get a ton of this. There is no, when he's talking about, you want my cloak? Take my tunic too. Oh, you want me to walk a mile? I'll walk 2 for you. You strike me in the face, you're obviously feeling some type of pain that you feel that you need to strike me to feel better. How about the other cheek? Would you like the other cheek too? How can I help you because you are me in a condition of pain?
Yep.
That's what compassion's all about. Compassion, sympathy, empathy, and passion are separated thusly. Sympathy is, I can identify that you're in pain. Sucks to be you. Empathy
We
is,
are both
I
the
can identify
wounding
your
and the
pain,
healing.
I feel your
Shalom
pain. I can actually imagine what it is to be in your shoes. The compassion portion is, I understand your pain, I feel your pain, and I want to help you.
We are the salve that covers.
And the right-hand man of the Dalai Lama agrees that my definition of this is correct. And he has the same definition, although it hasn't been standardized globally. We agree, thankfully, independently, that these are accurate to what sympathy, empathy, and compassion are. And what is that? But understanding that you and other are not really separate.
No.
You are the same one thing, and that is simply someone else who's having a condition of pain. They need to strike you. How about the other cheek? You need the other cheek. That's exactly what this saying points to.
That's why I keep saying I'm no better than anybody else, and nobody's better than me.
It's in your brother's eye, but you don't see the beam in your own eye. You get the beam out of your own eye, then you'll be able to see clearly to get the speck out of your brother's eye. And this points to the limitation of, let me jump out of this presentation and see if I can bring up this other presentation here, show you this little thing. This is your sense of self. And this is out of a course that I did that was a continuation of the Mind Hacking Happiness books. I explained the suffering, process of pain and suffering in the human mind from a scientific perspective. And your limbic system is supposed to scan for threats. and it's supposed to help you survive from today into tomorrow. And then a question must be asked, a threat to what? And your mind must then put together a laundry list of things that is you, that is your definition of you. It is your mind's sense of self that must be defended at all costs, lest you don't survive into tomorrow. And so that's when we start to have fear about spiders and snakes and heights. We're afraid of heights, we're afraid of flying in planes, we're afraid of speaking in front of a bunch of people because we're afraid of what is going to come to pass, that we look stupid or whatever. That is based on this definition of self. And this is why we can have emotions about Aunt Patty or our parents or our spouse or our special friend, because those people get mapped onto our sense of self. And then we thus have the same defensive self-processing that gets applied to these things that get mapped onto our sense of self. That is my spouse, that is my friend, that is my coworker, that is my politics, that is my religion, that is my whatever. And then you have emotional reactions because of that. And what Jesus is telling you is, be very mindful of this thing. Be very mindful of your own limitations, of your own attachments of mind, of your own faults, your own weaknesses, that you will overlook by pointing to fingers to then say, oh, look, you got a speck in your eye. And he's saying, yeah, don't forget the beam in yours. Don't forget the big log in your eye before you start giving advice. Because you aren't perfect either. You have the same process going on that they do. You got to get past your sense of self, your limitation of mind, before you start assisting others with theirs. And that's the only place that you should teach from. Saying 27, if you don't fast from the world, you won't find the kingdom. If you don't make the Sabbath into a Sabbath, you won't see the Father. And what he is talking about here is he is talking about meditation specifically, because he did meditate, as is clearly defined historically. But he's saying if you don't fast from the world, if you don't fast from the thoughts of your mind, if you don't fast from what's going on around you, you won't find the kingdom. Because the process is, as Zen teaches us, as Buddhism teaches us, when you quiet the mind enough, and from a neuroscientific perspective, when the patterns of your mind, the normal patterns of your mind that block you from realization cease or diminish enough, then new patterns arise. You connect into non-local consciousness and can experience enlightenment from that point. If you don't fast from the world, you won't find the kingdom, is what he said. Because he's saying you have to quiet your mind. You have to stop the patterns that are inhibiting you from realizing expanded consciousness. And what he's saying is, if you don't make the Sabbath into a Sabbath, you won't see the Father. The Sabbath is supposed to be a day of quiet. Judaism's Sabbath for the very devout Jews, they don't use technology on Saturday. They can't use the elevator on Saturday. They can't use cell phones. They can't use lights. They can't use anything on Saturday, because it's supposed to be a day of quiet. A day of resting the mind and becoming quiet and moving within, so that you can then have that discovery within that allows you.
And everybody wants to fight over a day.
The Father. And that's what he's talking about.
You're supposed to be in silence. You're supposed to
28,
meditate.
said, I stood in the middle of the world and appeared to them in the flesh. I found them all drunk. I didn't find any of them thirsty. My soul ached for the children of humanity, because they were blind in their hearts and couldn't see. They came into the world empty and plan on leaving the world empty. Meanwhile, they're drunk. And they shake off their wine.
They go in the same way that they leave the same way that they entered in. There's no change.
He's talking about being wrapped up in the human mind. He's talking about being wrapped up in the things that distract you, that make you act unnaturally or differently than you would if you were awake.
Yeah.
And he's expressing his frustration from my perspective. I stood in the middle of the world and appeared to them in the flesh. I found them all drunk. I didn't find any of them thirsty. None of them were looking for the truth within.
They think it's on the outside of them. because that's the way we've been
That's still
conditioned
true in today's world.
to believe. And it's
You're
still
all
going
distracted
on.
by what you think religion should be or what you've been told your religion is. The truest thing that Christianity has to original Christianity is called Eastern Orthodox Christianity. They're all about meditation. They're all about discovering enlightenment.
Yep.
They're all about discovering visio beatifica, the beatific visions that exist within the mind when your consciousness expands out to infinity.
Mm-hmm.
That's original Christianity. What most people are experiencing and worshiping as Christians today is not Christianity.
No, it's not. It's a den of jackals. Shalom nice.
By the way, Jesus didn't even want to be a religion. He didn't want you to follow any religion. He just simply wanted you to look within. And that's what the Gospel of Thomas is all about, is telling you, cease the things that you're attached to in your mind and look within. If you do not fast from the world, you will not find the kingdom. These things are very simple to understand. Saying 29. Jesus said, if the flesh came into existence because of the spirit, that's amazing. If the spirit came into existence because of the body, that's really amazing. But I'm amazed at how such great wealth has been placed in this poverty. And what is he talking about there? He's talking about the ideas of this being important, of this body being important. It is not who and what you are. The thing that is important, that is who and what you are, is the spiritual existence beyond this body that is inseparate from the Father, inseparate from consciousness existence of the universe. Because he's saying, wow, and he's making a joke of it. He's like, if the flesh came into existence because of spirit, wow, that's amazing. Like the spirit created a body and everybody's so excited about it. If the spirit came into existence because of the body, wow, that's even more amazing. And I can't believe how much bullshit you're putting into these ideas. That's exactly what he's saying. But I'm amazed at how such great wealth has been placed in this poverty. Digest that. Saying 30. Jesus said, where there are three deities, they're divine. Where there are two or one, I'm with them. Now, there are a number of questions about this saying that have to do with the multiple translations from the original text and words. Personally, I believe this has to do with the divineness of the number of three and the structure of data within the whole. Tesla's understanding of 369. The more words I put to this, the more quickly we're going to be racing away from truth at light speed. But what he's saying in the last part is, where there are two or one, I'm with them to create the wholeness.
So he's the third.
And that's all I'll say there. Saying 31, Jesus said, no prophet is welcome in their own village. No doctor heals those who know them. And this is basically just common sense. This is look, you're born a human. The people who know you as human aren't going to listen to you after you discover the truth.
No, they won't.
Of spiritual existence beyond being human. So just don't expect that the people that you know are going to be transformed. You're going to have to find other folks who don't.
It seems far-fetched to them, and they think they know it all because of what they've been taught on Earth, and the Earth's teachings of falseness.
Saying 32.
And they won't hear the truth because
Jesus said,
their eyes don't want to come open.
Shalom nice. Can't fall, nor can it be hidden. And what he's talking
about
is,
you know, with God, everything's possible.
Immortality, the undeniability of the kingdom of heaven. That's what he's talking about there. Enough said. Saying 33. Jesus said, what you hear with one ear, listen to with both. Then proclaim from your rooftops. No one lights a lamp and puts it under a basket or in a hidden place. Rather, they put it on the stand so that everyone who comes and goes can see its light. And what he's saying here is, if you discover that truth, don't you dare be silent.
Exactly.
Don't you dare be silent about what you discovered. You need to tell everyone that there is
something. That's why a lot of people
to discover
don't want no one to speak.
And
what
your proclamation
goes
your sharing of that light
against what they're speaking, because they don't want nobody to know what the truth really is. They want them to.
So that's what I think Jesus was
to believe
about
their ideas of what the truth is, because
Jesus
they don't want to search it out for themselves.
Someone leads someone else who's blind, both of them fall into a pit. And this is the situation of most of the world's religions today. I don't think most of Islam is being led by enlightened masters, although there is a subset of Islam that does seek enlightenment. I don't think most of Christianity today is being led by enlightened leaders, and I think they're the blind leading the blind. I think
they are
a subset.
God already showed me that
a Christian,
long time ago.
Christian, and are actually following the messages that Jesus is talking about here. I'm not going to make any judgments on any of you besides the fact that I think in general, the invention of religion is not a good thing when it fills your head full of stuff for you to believe that then stops you from seeking the truth.
Exactly. That's why God says, come out from amongst them and be ye separate and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you unto myself.
Exactly that same.
Stop eating from the table of demons, Shalom Naisatri, because it will not prosper you, Shalom Naisatri.
If someone who's blind leads someone else who's blind, both of them fall into a pit. Saying 35, Jesus said, no one can break into the house of the strong and take it by force without trying the hands of the strong. Then they can loot the house. And he's talking about the transition between non-truth and truth.
Right.
Ultimately. Saying 36. Jesus said, don't be anxious from morning to evening or from evening to morning about what you'll wear. Again,
but people want to preach on that.
Of mind. Who cares what you're going to wear? Don't be anxious about this or that, or be attached to whatever it is that's going on in your mind. Clear
They
your
preach
mind.
on it because all they see is the outer appearance and judgment on a person that don't dress like they do.
There's another saying soon that will help reiterate that. Because when you reduce the noise that's going on, you can hear the thing that exists just beyond. And that's the thing you're looking for. Saying 37. His disciples said, when will you appear to us? When will we see you? Jesus said, when you strip naked without being ashamed and throw your clothes on the ground and stomp on them as little children would, then you'll see the Son of the Living One and won't be afraid. And again, he's saying, when you take all of your attachments of mind and throw them on the ground and trample them, even your attachment to your own body, your identification of self,
everything that you've ever
you can see in the reflection of the
come to know, everything that humanity in this world has tried to tell you that you are, yet
that's what he's trying to teach.
You're so much more. Shalom Naisatri.
Saying 38, Jesus said, often you've wanted to hear this message that I'm telling you, and you don't have anyone else from whom to hear it. There will be days when you look for me, but you won't be able to find me.
That's the dry spell everybody goes through.
This is just kind of a housekeeping warning, saying, guys, you need to listen up. You need to take heed of what I'm telling you to look within, because
that's
someday
the
I'm not
test.
Here. Everything's impermanent, including this flesh you see before you. You're going to look for me. I'm not going to be around. Kind of an urgency warning. Saying 39. Jesus said, the Pharisees and the scholars have taken the keys of knowledge and hidden them. They haven't entered, and they haven't let others enter who wanted to. So be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. And this is just kind of a...
They distort the truth to keep you going around in circles.
Listen,
making you look like a fool.
To want to understand and you limit your understanding of the truth when you find it. And that is still true to this day.
Exactly. And then they want to belittle you because you know something that they don't. So they want to tear you down.
Who you believe,
when you're trying to explain what you're being taught and told,
in the things
because it exceeds their
know to be true from within that you
understanding.
By Spirit itself.
No matter how long of the journey that they've been in with the walk, they see you exceeding what they have, and they don't like it none. Shalom Nayasatri.
Even the Buddha said, do not believe anything that I say, versus if it doesn't ring true for you within. It's exactly what he's talking about there. And exactly what Jesus is talking about here. Believe what comes from within you. And be very careful about the people who would limit you from understanding that truth.
That's why God says don't sit under sin, and that's exactly what everybody's doing, is sitting under sin. Shalom Nayasatri.
Malnourished, it'll be pulled up by its root and destroyed. And what he is talking about is the religions of the world that do not deliver truth. The grapevine has been planted outside of the Father. A system of belief has been planted outside of truth. And it'll be plucked up and impermanent just like everything else. And that is still true today. So, know that. Jesus said, whoever has something in a hand will be given more, but whoever doesn't have anything will lose even what little they do have. And what he is saying is, any level of development of your understanding within will fruit. It will grow.
Some 30, some 60, and some 100-fold. Shalom.
So even if you have just a little bit, hold on to that little bit. Cherish that little bit. If you
hold fast that thou hast, that no man take thy crown. Revelation 3:11. Shalom.
Be okay with that. Love that, because that will flourish. That will become more. And if you don't have any of it, then you're going to have even less when time comes around, because you don't have anything real that you're holding on to. You have nothing real that you're rooted into. Saying 42, Jesus said, become passers-by. Now this one is, I love this one, because this speaks to the truth of many of the world's wisdom traditions that say, do not be swayed by your attachments of mind, or by any attachments of mind, or by any attachments of ideas.
An unstable man is unstable. An unstable man is unstable in all of his ways, meaning a double-minded man.
You're not swayed.
Exactly what he's talking about right there.
Swayed by your attachments of mind to be attached to religion, or politics, or ideas of this and that would divide you into self and other. Become passers-by, not attached to the things that would be used to distract you from the truth that is within you. I feel like a volcano about to erupt. It's a great, simple saying. I love this saying. Saying 43. His disciples said to him, who are you to say these things to us? You don't realize who I am from what I say to you? But you've become like those Judeans who either love the tree but hate its fruit, or love the fruit but love the fruit but hate the tree. He's saying, you don't see what's before you, but you're divided by mind. You're divided by these things that you're attaching to. You love the fruit or hate the tree. Those that came in their name,
the people followed what words they were given forth as delicacies, but God came in his own name, yet no man wants to eat what he has to give, yet is pure. Shalom Nayasatri.
Don't judge lest you be judged. And what his definition of that he tried to tell me, don't judge somebody lest you've already passed through judgment, and that's not what that says. Don't judge. What he was saying was, don't judge unless you've already been judged. So you have no right to judge anybody else unless you've already been judged. And that was his understanding of that religion. And he totally misinterpreted that statement. What that statement really means is a statement of mind. Don't judge. Don't attach yourself to a position, lest you then be judged based on your attachment of that position.
I'm hearing, don't judge what you don't know. Shalom.
It's not unless you've been judged. It is lest you be judged. Don't hold on to an attachment of mind where you decide a judgment of something, because then that thereby judges you to be attached. You are this position, this mental position. And that's exactly what he's pointing at here as an example of what not to do. I'm standing right before you, yet you love the fruit and hate the tree, or hate the tree and love the fruit. Don't be stupid.
Sweet and bitter cannot dwell in one well. Shalom
That's what he's saying. I might be wrong. Who knows? Saying 44, Jesus said, whoever blasphemes the Father will be forgiven, and whoever blasphemes the Son will be forgiven. Whoever blasphemes the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven, neither on earth nor in heaven. And what he's talking about there is the idea of the Father, the idea of the Son, separateness of the Father and the Son. The Holy Spirit isn't the Holy Ghost, as people would lie to you and tell you, Jesus after the fact. It is the consciousness of the universe itself.
It's
the Holy Spirit. If you rewrite, or excuse me, if you reread the whole Bible or the New Testament, and you read the sections regarding the Holy Spirit,
Holy Shalom Shalom.
If you understand the Holy Spirit to be the unseparate consciousness of non-locality and God in its entirety that collapses the wave functions, creating all the universe and every single moment, you can reread the Bible and have a whole different experience in that text. Because the reality is, that's what he's talking about here. Yeah, blaspheme against the Father, the idea of the Father. Blaspheme against the Son, the idea of the Son. But don't you dare blaspheme the wholeness, because that is everything, and that is your Father. That is consciousness.